a big thing that
Can I talk about the best one?
Yep.
This one's the best one because all these things always happen to her.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Oaks.
So, today, oh dear, you're the baddest girl.
Where'd Pennis go?
She, she's lounging. I feel like we kind of do this after every single RV trip where we kind of, we either sit down and talk about our favorite moments or our least favorite moments or whatever. Well, this time we wanted to do something that we've never done before, which is talking about things that happened on this trip that we didn't actually put into the vlogs or
but
didn't
should
really
have
talk
been.
about. And they should have been. So, I agree.
I forgot about that one.
Tell us.
That one actually, well, segue into that. She was reminding us. One of the first days, I'm telling him, one of the first days, I think it was during Swan Valley at the Jergies, we were like letting them kind of go outside the cage because we were ready to unpanel them. We were trying to.
That's not the first thing that happened though.
That's not the first one. I'm just doing this one because Oki was making sure I say it.
One of the first things that happened once we got to like our first destination was the dogs are still puppies. We don't really let them roam around. Not yet because they still chew on things. We played with them all day. They were running around. They were doing great. We left them out because we're like, all right, we're gonna try.
But we weren't gone.
No.
We were just like 200 yards away.
First 10 minutes did great, second 10 minutes did great, and we came back again to check on them because we're like, all right, I had to come back, grab something from my bag, and then go back. And literally it was like 5 minutes later we came back and they had chewed something.
They probably did immediately. I'm gonna show you what they did. So there's this little piece, no, don't do it again. There's this little piece that kind of, it's just basically an aesthetic thing, goes like over this.
Over the seat that connects to the bed.
Yeah, it doesn't like really serve a purpose other than looks nice. We saw this thing wide open. This is the replacement, by the way. Only $10 to replace it, thank God. We ripped it all off and started chewing it, and so we freaked out. We're like, oh my God, this is gonna cost us hundreds and hundreds of dollars because RVs
and we're
are like
come
that.
on, guys, we trusted you
and,
to not do this.
Yeah, so long story short, they ate something. Thankfully, it wasn't something that was super expensive. Like I said, was able to get 2 of these for $10. That was the second thing. We kind of just skipped the first thing. Yeah, we skipped the first thing. But so that happened, and you may or may not have seen like duct tape. Go back and watch the videos.
If you go back and watch the videos, it's the seat. It's like where the dinette is.
By the bed.
It's like right there, and I tried to cover it as much as possible because I'm like, I don't even want to talk about this in the vlog because we were so frustrated at first. I'm like, how could this even happen? We haven't even had this thing like that.
So that was the second thing. Yeah. So the first thing was.
Yeah, the first thing that happened.
It was, which one was the first?
It was, remember when we stopped at that one RV park that was very, very simple.
Okay, so that was the very first one.
We took the dogs for a long walk.
Day one, day two.
Day two, yeah.
Day two. Parked at the stop because we just wanted to get, connected, test everything out. First boondocking for the first time. Just a simple park. We started walking. We're like, you know what, this is nice. The weather's nice.
Then all of a sudden the weather wasn't nice. And it was like, there's a vlog.
Do you remember? We were like, oh, that looks kind of
we're like, that looks really crazy. And then I said something to Char and I said, man, that's coming in really quick. And then all of a sudden, it was like, okay, just imagine you're an ant and somebody walks up to you and they turn on a blow dryer.
Yeah.
It was like so intense, so quick, out of nowhere.
All of a sudden, our RV, from a distance, we're seeing this, like a little kite. And so we're bolting.
And we go, not again.
And then, yeah, exactly, this happened before. I'm pulling it in and trying to keep it from doing it. Allie's pushing it in, and I'm trying to do this at the same time.
It was like End of Days. It reminded me of like a scene out of End of Days where it was like everything was good and then it just wasn't good. So quick.
But if we didn't get there in time, the RV probably would have because of the air. Would have just flipped it over.
Turned into a sail. That's another thing that happened.
I want to get to our favorite part.
I know which one you're talking about.
When we were driving then we had the tornado thing that was right around.
So one thing about this trip that we shared a little bit, because you guys saw it, was the unbelievably enormous amount of bad weather that was going on.
Yeah, how quick it changed.
It was like, there was so much bad weather, there was so much like heavy rain, there was so much crazy wind. But one thing that we didn't talk about, because honestly it kind of freaked us out, was we were driving through, I can't remember what state it was.
I mean, we touched on it, but we didn't tell about the severity about it.
No. There was like an area where we kind of like
It's like the planes.
barely missed, or it was either just before or just after there was a hurricane. There was a tornado.
It was just before.
Now I don't know the severity of it or what it was, but I remember driving, and Charles and I said, Charles, that looks really bad. And he's like, yeah, that does look really bad. And he was like, do you want to stop? And I was like, no, I don't want to stop. I want to get through this. I don't want to be stuck in whatever this is. So there was like a portion where it was a day that we were driving pretty much the entire day.
Yeah.
And we literally, our only time in our entire life where we actually were kind of face to face or just after, I can't remember. It's because it was early in the thing, where there was a tornado warning and there was an actual tornado touchdown, and it was petrifying. Would have been a great title and thumbnail for the vlog,
yeah,
but we were way too scared.
Yeah, that's one thing that we did encounter a lot was random hailstorms. Just random
bad weather.
We did in Glacier, we did in that random place, we did at
Rockies.
Mm-hmm. But I'd say Glacier was the scariest one.
Biggest ones.
It was like this.
No, they were like.
The way it looked though when you were driving, I showed briefly, but not all of it, because sometimes in the heat of the moment you get kind of freaked out. I would go, hey, let me film this. I'm not like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to console Remy because it was terrifying us to the point to where a tree fell down.
I think there was such heavy rain, and they had been having rain kind of throughout prior to us getting there, so the soil really loosened up, and these trees didn't have giant support systems with their root system, so these trees were just falling down, and it was insane. We had to move a tree.
Yeah, we threw it down the.
After the fact, where I was like, we should have filmed that, but you know, you're in the moment. You're thinking,
And Remy's crying in the background because she's freaking out, so we have to console her at the same time. But it was the biggest hailstorm I've ever seen.
So lots of bad weather. There was a lot of really bad weather.
It was like bad weather, then all of a sudden it just came in. Like all the storms were just in probably the mountain. The Rocky Mountains was day one we got there, and then it started doing it. That wasn't too bad, it was more annoying, but we also had the awning out, so we had that concern about the hail going through the vinyl awning. So we're trying to pull that in as I'm trying to hook, because we weren't hooked in yet.
Hailed so bad, and poor Char was in the middle of getting everything done.
But that was fun.
There's another thing that happened.
Which one?
So Charles is very good at hooking things up. Like very good. Like he's got it down to a T where he can, whenever we park, he's like, I know I do this, and then I go inside. I basically get the RV unhooked and set up, and Charles does all of the like electrical, sewage, all this stuff. So we pull into this beautiful site in Yellowstone. Usually we recommend not going to the bathroom number 2 on our RVs because...
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
If we do, Charles will pull it and whatever prior to leaving. Oh, we have a 4-year-old. We were driving a long time that day, so we're like, okay, well, we're gonna just use the bathroom. All of us are gonna use the bathroom. So unfortunately, when Charles went to go hook up,
I was an idiot and I forgot to. So what I do now is like you flush everything. So you rinse it all out. You always go black water.
I know this is really scattered, but we're trying to tell you
everything. It's just because we're gonna forget. So you go black water, gray water to flush out anything in the tube, and then you take an older, like a non-potable tube, and you use that, and it flushes everything else down the tube. We were trying to get out, so Yellowstone. What was before Yellowstone? Glacier. Right. So
and that was a long drive from Glacier to
Yellowstone. And the craziness that happened in Glacier, my brain was all spattered. When I stopped flushing it, I didn't go back and put the plungers in, which is what you're supposed to do when you drive. The cap was on, plungers weren't in. So when Remy had to use restrooms,
well, we all had to use the restroom.
Usually pulled over to the side and
go to the bathroom somewhere else.
So we'd save time. Anyway, so there was water in the black tank. When we got to Yellowstone, I wasn't paying attention and didn't notice that the 2 plungers were out, and I took the cap off and like.
Just think about just toilet
like
all over
me. Like it was just
everywhere,
disgusting.
Underneath our RV. Everywhere, and we're like, Charles like, we're gonna have to. This is awful. I'm gonna have to tell them we're gonna have to do
the most embarrassing moment of my life.
And apparently, though, when the guy came, he's like, it's fine. It happens all the time.
I just said it jiggled off, and I didn't notice it.
He's like, it happens all the time, but it smelled so bad. It was so disgusting for a while.
Can I talk about the best one?
Yep.
This one's the best one because all these things always happen to her. Actually, it wasn't my fault.
Kind of was.
Nah. Okay. The other one was mine with the RD a long time ago. That was my fault.
Yeah.
This one, were getting gas.
In the Rockies.
We were getting gas in the Rockies.
Not in an RV, just in my car.
This is a typical
early morning
car thing.
Yeah.
So this is part of the trip, but the car. Normally what I do is I pump the gas.
Yes.
And then I use my little app, I do all that stuff. I pump the gas, and then I talk to Remy or talk to Allie, and I do a thing automatically.
And then hook it back into the pump. You put it back into the pump.
When I'm done, it was still pumping, and I go, hey, I'm just gonna go to the bathroom real fast as it was going because
you did not tell me it was still going.
I didn't say okay, but
because you never go to the bathroom you never leave that pump until it's finished.
I just figured because you were there.
Nope.
Anyway, so I left to go to the restroom, and I come back, and Allie's like this, going like that, and all I see is this cable on the ground, just like the hose, just on the ground.
Still in the car. Like I didn't even drive fast. I just moved forward slightly, and it popped off, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
So we know the safety mechanism. If you ever look, there's
like
a connector,
just like
and it's a detached. So like if you
it's like if you're plugging two plugs in, like if you're taking two extension cords and you're plugging them in.
And it just pops off.
Yeah.
However, that happened. Luckily, no gas or nothing happened like that. It's just all embarrassment.
I was so embarrassed, and I said, "Char, you got to go to tell them what happened." And he walked in, and they were like, "Okay, no problem."
But I told him, what I told him? I told him that I was turning around too much, and I got it wrapped up and around me. I didn't say that we drove off on it.
I know, and it was.
And he just goes, "Okay, which one is it?"
Yeah.
But the funny part is that we had to drive past that one every single day.
But it was still working.
No, it was working the last day we left. They had to turn it off because they probably had to have an inspector go do it. Long story short, that is my all-time favorite.
I felt so bad. Like I genuinely.
Obviously, we didn't film that because it was very embarrassing.
So bad.
Other than those things, there was a lot of happy moments, and we'll talk about that probably in another video.
It was a really great trip. Yeah, everything worked out really, really well. And I feel like it's not a real trip unless there's a few little chaos.
Something happens, because then you can talk about it.
In general, though, I feel like it was really seamless, really fun, really wonderful.
The RV killed it.
RV did great. The
Except
car did great.
The dog's eating it.
Which, very easy fix. It's fine. We learned.
$10.
And we just know that they're puppies. We have to be a little bit careful. Great trip. There's some moments you didn't know about. There's some moments that like we failed to share.
I think we should start doing those kind of things where we just tell you things that we didn't film.
Because guys, not everything is perfect.
Yeah. Especially on the road. Especially on an RV trip or a road trip. Anyway, we will see you guys on Monday. Thank you so much to CTFxC patrons. And we're going to go get our kid.
Bye.